Hi, I'm Amy and this is A Star Reads and it's time for a spooky vlog. So it's almost Halloween. Well, for me it's almost Halloween. You'll be seeing this on Halloween. And I wanted to do something a little spooky because I feel like I haven't been getting quite into the spirit this month. Life's just been busy. And I'm also just, I don't know, I'm kind of moving at a slow pace. I feel like mentally moving at a slow pace right now. And so I was thinking, I'm never gonna get to these darn TBR spooky / Halloween bingo board books if I don't force it, because I've had so many other obligation reads that I've been trying to get through recently, and I have not spent any time. Okay, I have started listening to The Halloween Tree by Bradbury, and I started reading this physically, but then I started listening to it because I wasn't enjoying the physical book. And then I wasn't enjoying the audiobook. And so I haven't finished this yet though, because I ended up having to switch over to another obligation read. So I started one of the books on my October TBR. And so I was like, you know what? I need to find time when I can kind of try and like speed through these, because they're such short books. Like I should be able to get through some of these at some point. So what I decided to do was something I've done before in the past, and it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna do Death Roll Chooses My Books. So books, because I'm gonna try and get as many books in this weekend as I possibly can. I ended up not having too much homework this week, which is nice. And I'm like, okay, let's take advantage of this time. So what I decided to do was set myself a timer so that I have certain periods of time throughout the weekend that I read. And I have to try and get through 12 hours of reading this weekend, which may not seem like a lot when you consider like 24 and 48 hours. But for me, like 12 hours of continuous reading, or 12 hours of reading in general as a total over the weekend, that's quite a bit of reading. And I think I can get at least 2 of the books done during that time. I hope. We know I'm not the fastest reader, but 12 hours. I should be able to get at least 2 of the books done. If I could get more, that would be amazing. I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm just gonna try and do what I can. So I'll be doing the death roll, and the way the death roll works is, this was introduced to me by Paige from Pages with Paige. So what happens is you lay the books out and you use a coin or some kind of objects to be like the it, like this book is it. And then you use a random number generator and you start from 1,000 and you like 1 to 1,000. You hit the first 1 to 1,000 and say it's like 650. Then I move the coin to the next book. Then I randomly generate 1 through 650 and say now it goes down to 300. I move the coin to the next book. And you keep doing that and moving the coin until you get to the number 1. And the book that you end up with 1 is the book that you take out of the possibilities. So then you go again until you eliminate another book. And you eliminate all the books until you have your final remaining book. And that is the book you end up reading. So let's go check out what my first book for this reading vlog is gonna be. I am so excited. I cannot wait to read this. I mean, I bought this book brand new because I wanted to read it this month. and it wasn't cheap, I will tell you that. I got it used, but even then it wasn't cheap. And I've also really loved Alexis Henderson's writing with The Year of the Witching. Been wanting the next book in that series. It's not here yet, so we'll make do with House of Hunger. I don't know too much about this, and I don't want to go too in depth with the synopsis because it's a short book and I want to just kind of go into it and enjoy it. But I do know that it's about this girl. She comes from a very impoverished background and she lives in this big city, and she hates living there because of her lack of opportunity, because of where she lives and the background she has. The only way she can get out of the city is to become a blood maid for a group of vampires. So this is exciting because I do like stories about vampires, and I cannot wait to see what Alexis Henderson brings in House of Hunger. And it's also exciting because I'm pretty sure that this is the book that Kayla has the Literally Dead Book Club? Literally Dead Book Club, right? What's the name of her book club? I'm pretty sure this is the book they're reading for October. So I've never participated in that book club before because, you know, I never usually am able to read the books that book clubs want to read unless it's my own book group. And even then, sometimes not so good. But I think it'll be exciting to read this and then go be able to join that conversation. So I'm really happy about that. And then the other thing I want to work on during this vlog is trying to get my Halloween bingo board up to date because I only have 2 X's right now. But I did finish Times Convert. I do have witches as an option for Times Convert. But because right now I only have these 2 X's, I sort of want to be strategic about how I'm using my bingo board. And so this one I know works for vampires, but it also works for like blood on the cover, spooky cover, because I think that's a pretty spooky cover. I kind of am going to hold off on updating this maybe until the end of the video, until I see what else I pick up and try and figure out what will work best for my bingo board, because I would like to get a bingo before the end of the month, at least 1 bingo. And the Stephen King book I'm reading, it's an audiobook, and I'm like 38% of the way through, and I don't know if I'm gonna get that done in time. It's such a long audiobook. And I'm pretty terrible about picking up audiobooks when I have a time constraint, because then all of a sudden, there's other things I'd rather do. So we'll see if I can get that Stephen King book done. I don't know. So I'm going to try and get started on this morning. I do need to work on my Sunday sum up. So that's probably going to be a thing I try to get done as quickly as possible this morning. I do have some reviews I need to record, and then I need to go ahead and edit that whole thing. But I don't think it's going to be very long this week. So that's a good thing. What I'll be doing with my timer is that it's set at 12 hours right now. And when I start reading, I will start my timer and let it run. And then when I stop reading, I will stop it so that I'm only running the timer when I'm actually reading. Okay, so I finished the first chapter, and so far I'm enjoying myself. It's very early on, so I'm just trying to figure out how things are working out in this story. And at the moment, it's not like vampire in the traditional vampire sense. It's these older nobles that live in the north that have the belief that blood will heal them of all their ailments and keep them young and vital. So a lot of the older rich men will hire blood maids so that they can consume their blood after the women have let their blood. And so I'm guessing that the men just drink the blood. There's not the like magical element of vampires at this point. I mean, that may come into play later, but at the moment it's more you are hired to give blood to this person who is using your blood to heal themselves, in a sense. So Marion actually works for this older woman. She's a scullery maid, and this woman is like this widowed older lady who's just lonely and just sits and watches Marion clean all the time and, you know, tells her, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. And so Marion, of course, is tired of that. She's always dreamt of having a different life, of having a different existence, of taking the train north. She just wants to go somewhere else. Her and her friend, well, she says like they're not actually friends because they don't have the luxury of having time for friendships, but her and a person she's known since she was really young, they are reading the newspaper and they're looking at the matrimonial section, and she sees an advertisement for a blood maid in the House of Hunger. And all of a sudden she's like, ooh, interested. But there is a prejudice against blood maids. And there's a prejudice against the whole process of bloodletting for these blood lords or whatever they are. There's a lot of stigma when it comes to being one of these blood maids, and the priests are like, it's unholy, it's not okay, don't do it, don't do it. There's better things than doing this that you could do if you have to. But Marion doesn't have the same scruples. She doesn't have the same feelings of how wrong it is. And there's definitely implications for a lot of sapphic romance in this, so I'll be interested to see where that goes. It's a very easy writing style to get into, but then there is enough detail that you get the feel of where they're living and a little bit about Marion's personality. So we'll see if she goes and applies for this position as a blood maid. Okay, so since I'm trying to get into the Halloween spirit, and I was telling you that I had already started the audiobook for the Halloween tree, but I wasn't feeling it, what I decided to do is restart the book from the very beginning with the audiobook that's provided on Scribd, and his name is Kirby Hayborn. So the other one wasn't bad at all, it just wasn't pulling me in, and I think I was struggling a little bit with Ray Bradbury's writing style, and so I was like, well, maybe a really good narrator would, I won't say help me get through this, but kind of help me get through this. And so I've switched over to Kirby, which was recommended by Danielle from Bookara, and already I'm liking this narrator more. I just think that this narrator is taking on the tone of this story a lot better. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm starting over from the beginning, and it's only a 3-hour audiobook because I have it on 1.2 speed, so it shouldn't take too long, and maybe I'll get it done before the end of the weekend, and hopefully it'll give me what I was looking for with that Halloween theme, the Halloween vibe, because this is my Halloween theme book for my bingo, so I need to finish it, but I also want to get, you know, the full enjoyment of a Halloween book that gets me feeling like I'm ready for Halloween. I had a practicum yesterday. My little practicum student was like, what are you going to be for Halloween? And, I asked her if she likes witches. And she's like, yes, I love witches. I'm going to be a witch for Halloween. And I asked her what kind of witch. And then she said, I'm going to be a bad witch. And she asked me what I was going to be. And I said, I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet. And then I asked her if she had any suggestions. And she said that I should be a good witch. So we could battle, I guess. And that was pretty cute. So other people are getting into the Halloween spirit, and I need to too. Okay, so it's just after 11 p.m. My eyes are starting to get tired. I'm starting to get a bit tired. So I'm currently at 7 hours and 16 minutes remaining. So I didn't quite make it halfway today. I'm going to try and read until I fall asleep, and I don't know how long that's going to last because, like I said, my eyes are feeling tired. I did finish my Sunday Sum Up. I edited that today, and I got that posted, so it'll go up tomorrow morning. That's pretty much it. Tomorrow I have a few things that have to happen. I've got my live show for The Last Battle. I need to finish a homework assignment. It's like halfway done. And, you know, I probably should move a little bit. Like, actually be active, because I feel like I've been really not active today. So I should do something. Let's talk about this. So I am right there. I'm just about halfway through this. I'm on page 140. I'm enjoying myself well enough. I feel like the reading of this is not going as quickly as I kind of thought it would, considering how I said the writing was fairly, it's good, but it's not too complex. If I'm comparing this to The Year of the Witching, I was really drawn into that one pretty early on, and I was really into it. I mean, I gave that one book 5 stars. So there's something about this that is not drawing me in as much, because I am not putting it down, but I feel like I could put it down. But what I think is interesting about this is that I'm beginning to see that there is an even darker side to this story. Considering Marion knows what she's gotten herself into, she knows what to expect, there still seems to be a level of ominous tone that you get from the other blood maids. The beginning of each chapter, so like here, beginning of chapter 16, there are quotes from prior blood maids. So blood maids that were part of other houses. Marion's part of the House of Hunger. And the tone that everybody is giving is like that there's something that is not being told. So I'm gonna find out what that is, because it seems like where we're at, we're finally going to get into some of the real action, because Marion is a full-fledged member of the House of Hunger and stuff is starting to happen. I'm starting to get into it more. I'm finding my pace of reading picking up, and hopefully I'll get a chance to pick up another book. Maybe I won't, but it'd be nice. But, you know, I'm not going to hold my breath, and I'm not going to try and rush through this just to be able to get to another book for this vlog. So we'll see how this goes, and I will check in with you tomorrow, because I'm going to read and then I'm going to go to sleep. Good morning. I'm awake. It's like 9 on Sunday. I ended up staying up till 2, actually. I just kept reading, and that was good. That was really good, because I made it a bit further. And now I only have 5 hours and 12 minutes left, so that today I can do that and then do all the other things I need to do. Sorry if my face is shiny. I cleaned it and did moisturizer and stuff. Okay, so this is how far I am. I'm I think a little more than 2/3 the way through. And it definitely didn't take the turn yet that I thought it was going to take. But it's focusing more on obsession. And I think that that's a very uncomfortable conversation, obsession. And I think that's being handled pretty well. So at the halfway mark, it got a lot more interesting and I got pulled in. So that's why I wasn't able to go to sleep until 2, because then I just wanted to keep reading and finding out what's going to happen next. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign for me that even though the first half was not drawing me in completely and I was enjoying myself, but I wasn't like just in it. I am hoping that the rest of it goes that quickly or goes that smoothly, because I'm on to page 200. I've got like 80 pages left, and I would like to read another book before this is over. So I'll at least start another book. What else did I do? Oh, the Halloween tree. So I have about 2 hours and 20 minutes left. I'm not very far into it yet, but I've made a little bit of a dent. And we've just met Moundshroud. Yeah, I like this narration more. It's still not going to be a book that becomes one of my favorite holiday books. It's just not. And that's okay. So I'm enjoying what I'm listening to. It does feel like it's getting me in a little bit of the cold, spooky vibes, because we have started getting cold weather here. It started raining Friday. It's getting much cooler. I was walking to my room last night and it was like, ooh, it feels like there's that winter nip in the air. So that was kind of cool, because we haven't really had that yet this fall. So it's really coming around now. We're starting to have fall. And so I felt like I was in the mood last night. That's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna go make some pumpkin muffins and then keep reading. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I have 3 hours remaining, 3 hours and 3 minutes, and I have finished House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. So, this one took me a little bit longer to read, but that's because I think the pacing was not a very quick pacing book. It was only 280 something pages, but it wasn't one of those books where I could have rushed through it. And I think because of the pacing of it, it took me a little bit longer to get through it. But I'm not in a competition for time or anything like that. I was kind of hoping to get to another book, and I will be able to, but I also didn't want to rush through these books and not enjoy the experience of reading them. I don't know how to rate this, to be honest. I don't read a ton of horror, and I do like horror. It's definitely at least a 3-star. It's possible it's in the 4-star range. I don't know. It's funny because I was looking at some of the reviews, and people said that they felt it slowed down quite a bit at the 40% mark, around that range. And I thought that that's when the story started picking up and started becoming interesting. So it's funny that I have like the opposite experience of everybody else, but that's not surprising. It happens. I'm a different person. So it did sort of go in the direction that I was thinking it would go in, but not quite to the same extent, or not exactly in the same way as I expected it to. And so that was interesting, like that I was partially correct, but it still was a very drama-filled ending. Let's just put it that way. One thing I can say for sure about the writing at this moment is that even though the pacing was not very quick, and even though it had very adult themes, it still read like it was written for a younger audience. Like, not necessarily that the characters were really immature. I mean, they were young adults, but just that it felt like, despite the gruesome elements to it, or the parts that were shocking, or the parts that were, taboo and stuff like that, and how adult those themes are, it had this feel of a young adult book. Like, the writing felt young adult. And I don't know if that's the style that Alexis Henderson was going for, especially because it's from the perspective of someone who is in their early 20s, so maybe new adult. But it did feel like you could have taken the same tone and put it to a YA story, and it would have fit perfectly. So I think that was true for A Year of the Witching, but I felt like it worked out really well for The Year of the Witching. I like her main characters, and I like the strength she puts into her main characters, but I really liked Emmanuel from A Year of the Witching better than I liked Marion. And so I have a lot to think about when it comes to this book, and I will be thinking about it, because it is a lot harder to rate books that are scary and give you unpleasant feelings versus books that make you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. And that is how horrors are supposed to be, and I like that about horrors. But it does make it hard to view it from a perspective of, okay, how much do I like those feelings and how well it portrayed those feelings? Like, I don't know how to explain that. It's really hard to explain how to turn that into a positive review when it was something that made you feel so icky. But I thought that there were decently morbid and scary parts in this. I feel like it is a horror, and I think it got me into the spooky mood. It definitely is different than anything I've read recently. So I enjoyed it, and I think if you like Alexis Henderson's writing style and you like To Hear the Witching, this is definitely different. And it does have a different tone to it, but I think you'll enjoy it. And if you're looking for something spooky and horror-ish, not just thriller, whereas A Year of the Witching was a lot more thriller, not as horrific. This one has more of the horror elements that I thought were missing from A Year of the Witching. So it is just past 1, and I have a live show with Christine, an autistic reader, on her channel for The Last Battle at 2. So as you'll see here, I did my next death roll. Hey, it's Editing Amy. So you're gonna notice that there's a book here that wasn't there before, and that's because I had picked up The Birds by Daphne du Maurier a while back, because it was one of the books I wanted to read. It wasn't officially on my TBR, but I wanted to read it, and if it came up, it came up. That would be great, but if it didn't, then, it'll probably go back to the library. And I mean, it couldn't have worked out more perfectly. I am so excited. I've been wanting to read Ring Shout for a very long time. It seems that I'm picking the books in this randomly. This is a random death roll, but it seems like I've been able to get the books that I'm most excited about. I'm hoping I can finish this one within the 3 hours. Probably won't happen that way, but this one is a lot shorter, so hopefully I'll make a really decent dent in it. And if I can finish it within the day, it's still going to be within my weekend reading vlog. It's just that I used the 12 hours to kind of give me checkpoints to make sure that I was getting a certain amount of reading done this weekend. So even if I go over the 12 hours, it's not like that's a hard and fast rule. It was more like just to get me pushed for reading. So we'll see how that goes. But I have my live show and I have a homework assignment I have to finish. And I feel like I've just been reading nonstop, so I might need to just kind of take a little bit of a break. I feel a little shut in. I'm exhausted and it's past 11 and I have 43 minutes remaining, and I actually have read part of that 43 minutes, but I forgot to hit my timer at one point. And so now when I was just turning it off, all of a sudden it turned on again and I was like, wait a minute, it wasn't running that whole time. So it wasn't like 43 minutes that I read without running my timer, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep my timer going. Not going, but I will still use my timer tomorrow for another 43 minutes so I can at least finish out my 12 hours. And then I'm actually gonna try and finish this for this vlog. So I'm gonna extend this a little bit, more than a weekend vlog, but I'm already not quite halfway through. It's not a very long book, and I just feel like it would be nice to have finished 2 books for this vlog. So I'm gonna extend this, and I'm too tired to give you an update on my thoughts because I know I haven't talked about this book at all yet. But I will do that tomorrow at some point, and then I will try and finish this tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then definitely by Tuesday, and we'll wrap up this whole vlog, and maybe I'll have a review for The House of Hunger. So that's the plan for now, but I'm going to sleep. Good night.
They rounded the far side of the house and stopped, for there was the tree, and it was such a tree as they had never seen in all their lives.
Okay, so it is Monday and I am done with class for the day. I have homework to do this evening, a paper that I need to write, just 1 page, nothing big. And I have an IT project for tomorrow that I should get started on, so I'm not doing it all last minute tomorrow. And that's pretty much it as far as that goes. I want to continue and hopefully finish Ring Shout today. And then I did listen to more of the Halloween Tree. I am like, I'd say I think 60% of the way through that now. So I'm making progress on that with this new audiobook narration. And still keeps losing my interest though. I'm driving and I'm listening to it and I zone out and have to restart over and over again. So I think it might be a problem with me and Ray Bradbury's writing. So let's talk about Ring Shout. So at this point, we've met Maurice and we've met Sadie and Cordelia and then a couple of other important characters to the movement that they're trying to do in order to get rid of all of these demons. And Ku Kluxes are actually demons that were summoned at one point by clan members. So founding members and stuff were sorcerers and magicians and stuff that actually summoned these demons. And they're beginning to take over. And one of the things that it's said that they've done is create a summoning spell through the movie A Birth of a Nation. A Birth of the Nation. And this was a real movie, and it was a really horribly racist movie that apparently clan membership increased after this movie was released. And in this book, the movie and the showing of the movie, like, puts a spell on people who are watching it, white people that are watching it, so they become clan members. And then when you're a clan member, sometimes people get infected by these Ku Kluxes, which are these demons that only our main three characters, Maurice, Sadie, and Cordy, can actually see. You have to have the sight in order to see them. And what happens is when they're in their demon form, they get really big, 9 feet tall, and their body is like all white, and it's made like from, it looks like it's made from ivory, and their head is actually the shape of those clan stuff. And they're trying to further destruction and hell on earth through clan membership and getting white people to be racist and prejudiced and lynchings and different things like that. So there's like these demons that have this ultimate plan, and we're starting to see the increase of these demons and more of them infiltrating the United States as a whole. And so our people who are fighting against demons, Maurice and Sadie, but also people behind the scenes, are all trying to figure out, is there a mastermind behind these demons? Because the demons just seemed like these monsters that do the bidding of something else. And they're trying to figure out what is the greater plan here, because why are there more clan members all of a sudden? Why is there more Ku Kluxes? What's going on? So that's kind of where we're at the moment. It's very interesting, and I like... Okay, so I have to finish talking about that book in the house because Cece thought that it was a good time to go over to the neighbor's yard and get her owners in trouble. Of course, our neighbors were fine about it, but it was the other neighbors, like a couple houses down, and they were in their yard when she was sneaking into their yard. So I was like, she's trying to get us in trouble. Anyways, so one of the things I wanted to say about Ring Shot, which I think is amazing, here it is that this is written in African-American vernacular English. And there are definitely some moments where you have one character speaking Gullah. And I think that that is so amazing and awesome because it was accurate culturally to the community and to these characters. And then I also thought it was amazing because it gives us the real feel behind these characters. Like, we really get to understand more about them and their culture and who they are through the dialect that's been used for them. So I really like that the author did that. I think that is a very brilliant move, and that in its own right is fantastic. So far I'm enjoying this. I feel like I'm trying to read it too quickly, and that might be not that I'm not enjoying it, just that I could see wanting to read this again in the future when I'm not doing a readathon or anything like that. And I think it's also one of those kind of books where, because of that different dialect, a dialect I don't necessarily hear very often or get the opportunity to read very often, I would probably need to go over this a few times to really understand everything that's happening in this, because there's a lot going on. And I know that there's a lot of social commentary with this, and I think at the moment I'm just trying to understand the layout of the story and what exactly is going on and these different characters' personalities. So like really thinking of the implications of what this author is trying to portray with this story might take me another go through or a couple more go throughs. But so far it's fascinating. I'm liking what he's doing, and I can't wait to continue and finish out this story and see what I think about it overall. And then, yeah, I could see myself rereading this book at some point, just because I think that I could get a lot out of this on multiple rereads. Okay. So that's it. My 12 hours is officially done. Now I am there. So I'm over halfway. I'm on page 107. And I don't know that I'm going to get it finished tonight. I had a big homework assignment that was due this evening, and it took up most of the evening, and it's already getting kind of late. So probably not going to finish this tonight, but I might be able to finish it tomorrow. We hope. What do I got going on tomorrow? I feel like I have something happening tomorrow. Well, oh, I'm going to give plasma. So yeah, I could also be reading this while I'm giving plasma tomorrow. I'm 70% the way through the Halloween tree, and honestly, I had to stop it at one point today because I am not listening to it at all. Like, I've been listening to it, but my attention just keeps wandering. So I just don't think this story's for me. And so hopefully tomorrow I'll have a little more focus, and I'll be able to finish that one. Although, like I said, it's probably not going to be a very great reading because I've just had such a hard time getting through that book, and it's not very long, so it shouldn't have been that hard. I don't have anything else yet to say about this because it's so short. I don't want to give too much away or anything like that. The action is definitely picked up. Some pretty sad moments. This story, the way it is told with this fantastical element to it, is not reality. But the reality of the Ku Klux Klan and the horrible, horrible demon-like things that they did and do and have done, it's just devastating because, like, you know that there's some truth in a lot of this. So it's just really sad. So it's quite a few days later. It's currently Thursday. And I have finished Ring Shout by Djeli Clark. 5 stars. This book is so incredible. And the only reason I didn't get it done sooner is because, for one, I'm not in a reading mood at the moment. And that's just a me thing, not a this book thing at all. And 2, no, it's mostly that. It has nothing to do with school either because it's not too crazy of a week this week. I do have schoolwork. I have had things going on. But things are slowly starting to calm down a little bit with school, which usually happens around the middle of the term. So that's nice. And I did have a midterm this week. I literally got to class and I was sitting talking to my classmate, my friend, and she was like, "Are you ready for the midterm?" And I was like, "Midterm? That was today. We're having a midterm." I had completely forgotten about this midterm. Didn't prepare for it at all. It wasn't one of those kind of midterms that you needed to prepare for it, luckily, and it was open note, but it was more about, like, what do you actually understand from this class? So, whew, thank goodness it went well. I was shocked, though. I have never completely forgotten about exam like that before, so that was fun. But yeah, let's get back to this, Ring Shout. This was so... I don't even know, like, there were definitely moments where I didn't feel like it would be a 5-star read. However, it was so brilliant. It was so brilliant. And in the end, of course, it pulls together so well. I mean, I cried a lot during this because even just some of the things that you wouldn't necessarily cry for, it was just the way the emotion was portrayed in this was done so well. And you end up, even in this short little book, 180 something pages, you end up really caring for these characters a lot. And there's one point where Djeli was saying in their acknowledgments, "Who says all of fantasies with sword-wielding heroes and heroines have to be in Middle-earth, Westeros, or even our dreams of Africa past? Maybe they can happen right here too." And that's exactly what this was. Like, this really was a fantasy. It really was an adventure story. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of gore. If you can't handle a bit of blood and gore, a lot of the stuff that comes with warfare, then this is going to be a little harder to read. I loved how much of African-American culture, Gullah culture, what was happening during these times, how much of that was brought into this. It was really made even more spectacular because of the vernacular that was used in this. And it was so much different than what you read in so many other books. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that because we don't see nearly enough of that. And this is a perspective that we don't get to see very often. We get to see a lot of Own Voices work, but we don't necessarily get to see Own Voices work that actually comes with the voice of people that use African-American vernacular English or different Gullah, the different dialects and languages that are used around the US. And so I thought that that was something so special and so unique to this And that's why I think that this book was so incredibly spectacular. The humor was there, the action was there, the heart in this, and of course the underlying messages were so important. There just was so much about this that I thought was amazing. And even if there were moments where I was maybe not losing interest, but because I wasn't in a reading mood, I was having no problem putting this down, it was really because of me and not because of this book, because it's just brilliant. Like, it was just so well done. And it makes me want to pick up more by Djeli Clark, because if I thought this was incredible, I imagine more of their works are going to be incredible. And I absolutely recommend Ring Shout if you'd like an action-packed, quick, but very meaningful fantasy novel that's set within the US and brings a focus onto prejudice and different things that have been a big part of what life is like here in the US for a lot of people. Okay, so now I can make it a little bit further on my Halloween bingo board now that I've finished Ring Shout, and I have decided for Ring Shout that there is a scene, and I don't want to give anything away, but there's one scene in particular where creepy crawlers, I think, works amazingly well for this prompt, and I'm going to cross that out here. And then I have decided that I'm going to keep House of Hunger as a vampires. Right there, I'll keep that one. I've got my free space. So for Halloween themed, I'm almost finished with the Halloween tree. I'm really hoping that I'll get that done before the 31st. I think I can get it done. It's close. I'm just having a hard time getting through it. I would like to get Scary Doll done, which is The Night of the Mannequins, which is a very short book. I feel like if I make an effort this weekend, I could probably get that one done, and that would give me my bingo across here. Times Convert doesn't work for Halloween themed or Scary Doll, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make any more bingos. So we'll just go with Witches, because it definitely has a lot to do with witches. And then down here, I have finished Times Convert, I have finished Ring Shout, and I have finished House of Hunger. Working on this one. Would like to do that one. Don't think I'll get that one done. Don't think I'll get Hacienda done either. Not right now. But yeah, that's the progress I made so far. It's better than it was, that's for darn sure. Okay, I'm walking to and from school, so I'm breathing a little heavy. So I made the executive decision today to DNF the Halloween tree because I'm just not enjoying it. I don't want to listen to it anymore, and I'm just not in the right place to listen to it because I'm not giving it a chance and I don't want to. So instead, for my 13th book of the month, I started listening to The Night of the Mannequins by Stephen Graham Jones. And this is also a book that's on my TBR for October. And so far, I'm enjoying this so much more. And it reminds me of another Stephen Graham Jones short story that I read in a like horror short story collection. And so we're gonna see how this goes, but it's set in a movie theater, which is like the other one that I read by him was set in. And it just seems like it's gonna be a fun ride. Okay, so I'm still sweaty, but I'm back in my car, and I just wanted to tell you what Night of the Mannequins is about so far. I can't tell you too much about this story because it is very short, and I don't want to give anything away, and that's kind of takes the fun away from horrors. But I would like to give you an idea of where I'm at, what the general synopsis of this book is, and tell you my thoughts as I go through it. So it's about this friend group of 5 people, and we're focusing on this young teenager named Sawyer. I think his name is Sawyer. They call him his name once, and I think that's what it is. It's set in the movie theater because something happens in the movie theater and it affects one of their good friends that's in the friend group. They decide to try and make it up to her. They're going to play this prank that she will get a kick out of, or at least they think she'll get a kick out of, and it'll make her feel better, or at least let her know that they care about her even though they're causing her trouble. They all have been friends since they were really young. They've done fun, crazy pranks in the past. They've spent a lot of time together playing and playing out in the woods and stuff, and at one point they were sliding down this hill, and one of the kids slides down into the woods, and he, I guess, like knocks into this mannequin that was stuck in the mud. And so they, of course, are like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing ever. They take the mannequin, they give it tons of different names, they dress it up, they do all kinds of fun things with this mannequin for a long time. Like, they just have such a good time with this mannequin as kids. And then they finally decide, okay, we're going to retire the mannequin. It'll stay in Sawyer's garage. And for this prank, they want to bring the mannequin back and have the mannequin play a role. So it's going to take place in a movie theater. And to me, it seems like this prank is harmless in a lot of ways. You know, if you think about teenagers and the things they could get into, all this stuff seems very harmless. But the first line of the book and the first line of the synopsis on Goodreads is, we played this prank and we all died. So, like, we know that they're all going to die somehow from this seemingly harmless prank. And I don't quite know where it's going to go. I've heard that the story is not what people expect and it gets really strange, which I totally expect from Stephen Graham Jones. And I'm really interested to see where it goes. There's a couple of feelings I'm getting in here where either our main character's having some psychological, like, things that are happening, or there's something somewhat supernatural happening. I don't know which it is, and I won't know until I continue on further. But this is only a 2.5 hour audiobook, so it's not going to take me too much longer to get done. I will get it done before the end of the month, especially because I'm really enjoying it. And I think that this will officially be my 13th finished book. Now, I have already finished out this vlog, so when you see the end of the vlog, it's not going to include this book as my, like, let's review what I read this vlog. I'm going to finish it in the next day or so. I'm going to give you a review. Then we'll go back to the original ending that I filmed for this vlog, because I just kind of added this last minute and I thought this is one of the books that's on my spooky TBR and I think it works out perfectly for this vlog. I just kind of wanted to add it in. Good morning. It's Saturday now and I've continued listening to The Night of the Mannequins and I'm about 48% of the way through with that. And honestly, it is so freaking weird and I'm loving it. This is a book that represents really what I think of when I think of his humor. And I know that's kind of hard for me to say considering I haven't read too many of his books. I've only read Mongrels, The Only Good Indians, and then that one short story that he had put in that collaboration anthology or what have you. And then of course this one so far. But you can kind of get from his writing the type of humor he has. And it's very dark and I really enjoy it. I seem to get along with it very well. And this book is weird as fuck, but I'm really liking it. I'm really having a good time. It's so wrong. There's so many things in this that are so wrong, and yet I'm like smiling the whole time because I'm just enjoying the process of reading this, which says something about me, and I don't want to delve into that deeper. Sorry, my dog is going nuts here. It is fun though, and it does still revolve around this mannequin. It's maybe not what people think of when they think of Night of the Mannequins, but it's not far off from what I kind of thought might happen with this story. Like an hour and a half left of listening to it. And I'll do that at some point today. Maybe when I'm doing some cleaning or something like that. And hopefully I can get it done either today or tomorrow because I'm like halfway through editing this vlog and I'd like to include this obviously. Okay, so good morning. It's Sunday the 30th, almost Halloween. And last night I went out. I went and saw Rocky Horror Picture Show and it was great. We had so much fun. And then after that we went dancing and I wore the wrong shoes. So that was a little rough, but still had a blast. So we're coming into a bit of a storm and it's going to be really rainy today all day long. And then it'll be raining again for the rest of the week. But I wanted to tell you about Night of the Mannequins because I actually finished it last night. It felt good. It felt good to get it done because I got it all done before the 31st and that was my 13th book for the month. And that's a really good reading month. I know a lot of the books were short or graphic novels, but still, even then, it was a really good reading month for me. So I feel really good about that. And Night of the Mannequins, I really enjoyed. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. And this is a hard book to recommend because I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it and they really don't care for Stephen Graham Jones' writing style in this. And I would argue that if you don't like his writing style in this, you're not going to like this story at all because you're basically just in the mind of a young teenage boy who is having kind of a psychological break in the sense that he's becoming this killer. And it's very odd. And it's a very uncomfortable place to be in his brain. You see how he's trying to justify a lot of different things. And I feel like it was so well done, in my opinion. And I think it's such a crazy perspective that Stephen Graham Jones is taking. But I know that a lot of people didn't jive with his writing style. And it's not quite what everybody thought of when they thought of Night of the Mannequins. What are you expecting from this? You're thinking a whole bunch of mannequins coming and attacking people. And that's not how the story goes. And I guess because I had heard so many people say that, I was kind of prepared for it to be different. And also because I have an idea of how Stephen Graham Jones' writing is and how quirky. He's a very quirky horror writer. I wasn't that surprised when it turned out the way it turned out. It was so tongue-in-cheek with the way that Stephen Graham Jones wrote it, in the sense that I really get a good understanding of his sense of humor when I read this book and kind of how his mind works. If you don't mind being in the mind of a very confused and yet not confused because they're being dictated by things they believe to be true, and like a very confused teenager, and you like really odd, quirky horror stories, then I recommend this, because I think that it was, if you can go into it not taking it too seriously, then I think you'll enjoy it more. If you go into it with the right mindset, meaning you understand that it's not going to be completely about a whole bunch of mannequins running around and massacring everybody, then I think you could enjoy it more. So I think that this book could have its audience, but I don't think it's going to be for everybody. I know Kayla from Books and Lala absolutely loved this book, and that makes me more curious to read some of the horrors that she likes, because if I really liked this one, and I also really liked some of the other horrors that she has read, then that makes me think that her particular taste in horror might be, you know, kind of my taste in horror, because I've been trying to figure out what I like within horror, and there are certainly things that I don't care for as much. So I might at some point try reading her favorite horror novels. That might be something fun to do. Okay, so I know that I didn't finish The Halloween Tree, but I read enough of it before DNFing it. And I read enough of it twice in a row that I'm going to count that. I'm going to count it because I said so. And it's my game. And I feel like I read enough of it that I got the Halloween theme in a book. Oh no! That was ugly. Oh well. And then I did finish Night of the Mannequins. And there was definitely a doll that was scary in there, which was a mannequin. I'm counting that one. That is my bingo. I really made that ugly, but oh well. There's my bingo. I'm gonna check that one off. I'm gonna check that one off. Did I finish any more of these? I already got Ring Shout. Didn't finish Fairy Tale. Didn't finish that. Didn't read that one, but I kind of still want to. Maybe I'll hold on to it. Yeah, okay, well, I made that look ugly, but it is my bingo and it's completed. Okay, so I'd like to do a little bit of a recap. So for one, I read House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. I'm still kind of wavering on how I would rate this. 3.75 to a 4-star. I think I put 4-star on my Instagram stories, and that felt right that day, but I could see how, depending on how I feel each day, that this could either be a 3.75 or a 4-star. I did really enjoy it. I thought that the idea was unique, and I got pulled into it about halfway through. I mean, I thought that there was parts in the beginning that were interesting, but of course, for me, the action didn't really start taking place until about halfway through. And although I didn't really feel a connection to the characters, I do like that Alexis Henderson makes these strong female characters. So yeah, 3.75 to 4-star, probably 4-star. Probably a 4-star just because I thought it was interesting and creative. And then I started re-listening to The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. I'm about 70% of the way through that one. I still have about 30% to go. And I've really just stopped listening to it because I'm having a hard time. I'm having a really hard time. It was going good for a while, and I feel like this week when I've tried listening to it, I don't remember anything that I've listened to. So I know that that book is really just hard for me. It's just hard for me. I'm just not enjoying it. Let's talk about the second book that Death Roll picked for me, and that is Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. This, as you know, is a 5-star, and it was such a great way to end this vlog. I'm so happy that I picked this up finally. I've been wanting to read this book for such a long time, and it was a win. It was an absolute win. I would read it again, and maybe next year I will read it again. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these books that I have read, and if you liked Halloween Tree, don't tell me how wrong I am, because I already know. It's okay. But if you have read House of Hunger, I'd be really curious to hear your thoughts on it. It was really hard for me to come up with a rating for this one for some reason. I don't know why. Whereas it was really easy for me to figure out how I felt about Ring Shout. Let me know in the comment section down below all your thoughts. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up so other people can find it. And subscribe if you want to see other fun vlogs like this. I'd like to do more. It just depends on the time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.